After a year of mediocrity, the spring 2020 season of anime is a much-needed breath of fresh air, with even the shows that I'm probably not going to watch all of being high quality and original, and two much-needed returning shows in Love is War and Fruits Basket. There are a ton of shows this season that I at least found interesting, so I'm giving you my top 10 shows of this season. The only show that I knew I would love going in was Tower of God, an action show based on a Korean webcomic. While it's heavily abridged, the first 3 episodes represent about 20 chapters, it's still a great show. The core of the plot is the journey of the main character Bam, trying to find his only friend, Rachel, who climbed the Tower of God, whatever that is and means, and he forces his way through sheer willpower from level 1 in video game terms to a level 50 area without gaining any actual power that he didn't already have. Episode 2 starts with something that's half tournament arc, half training arc. It gets straight into the action and the setting is as explained as it goes, and that's half the mystery of the show. It's only going to be 13 episodes, and at almost 500 chapters, it's still not finished, so hopefully they will make more seasons. Flightmare is the kind of bizarre that can only come from anime. Main character Shuichi can transform into a bizarre mascot-like monster, and has a strong sense of smell, leading him to stopping his fellow classmate and co-lead character Claire from dying in a fire. Because of spoilers, she's not happy with him and calls him out as a monster. There are other, less peaceful monsters, and she's been trying to fight them. Out of curiosity, she decides to pull down the zipper of the monstrous mascot suit, and there's nothing underneath but a gaping flesh hole inside. She climbs in and they synchronize with sexual undertones, make that overtly sexual, not long before a hostile monster comes to fight them, and with her combined power she poses no threat. Claire, however, uses lethal force with the justification that the monster knows where she lives. Obviously, Shuichi and Claire have differing viewpoints on her actions, but she convinces him that they are too weak on their own but far stronger together. Future monsters beware. The Millionaire Detective, Balance Unlimited, is a detective show with 2 main characters. One who previously worked in the highest and ranked and respected division until he somehow fell from grace and is assigned to what is essentially the punishment division. He works for the sake of justice above all else, which has probably had something to do with his demotion. The other character is the one the show is named after, and he thinks any problem can be solved with money, since he literally has an infinite budget because don't ask questions.
Yeah. Well, whenever you notice something like that, a wizard did it.
I see, alright, yes.
While the two are fundamentally opposed in an ideological sense, Kanbei, the man made out of money, requests to be assigned to the same division as Kato, who we met earlier. Continuing the trends of not airing shows as episodes coming out weekly but only in North America, and also furry anime, is BNA, short for Brand New Animal. In a world where beastmen exist in the open and even have their own city, Michiru, our main character, is on the run from human beast hunters and to Anima City, where only beastmen are allowed. There's not a single human that's portrayed as not evil, so it's a surprise when, after getting mixed up in some bad events and meeting an awesome wolf guy named Shiro, she reveals to him that she was a regular human until recently when she spontaneously changed out of nowhere, which, according to him, is impossible. They go on to look into the mystery while he solves crimes with his fists. One of only 2 new isekai shows this season, The 8th Son, Are You Kidding Me?, is another show with the reincarnated into a super powerful mage premise. The twist is that he's from a family that, while they are technically nobles, they are almost literally dirt poor, eating stale bread and chive soup every day, and he's the 8th son, so he's basically a nobody. Obviously, he finds out that he is actually the most powerful mage ever and gets lessons from a mysterious master that lives in the woods, and then when he grows up, all the girls are into him. There's a few twists that make it worth watching, and the delivery on some parts is great. If it keeps up with the quality it's had and either sticks to comedy or gets more action in, it'll be worth watching. But right now, it's just a little better than one of those generic shows. Those are all the good action shows this season, because it's all about slice of life and drama this season. Kibuchi Godo, My Dad's Secret Ambition, is by the creator of Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei, but it's a bit calmer. The dad in question is a manga artist that draws something not quite hentai, but a couple steps away from it. Obviously, he doesn't want his daughter to find out about it, so he takes some pretty far steps to keep her in the dark. Speaking of dark, it goes back and forth between a young grade school version of her getting into misadventures and the ups and downs of parenting, and an 18-year-old version of her looking into a long-abandoned manga studio. And that part is not a comedy, but it is a nagging cliffhanger that makes me keep coming back for more.
18歳の誕生日、私はその箱の鍵を手に入れた。
Arte might have the craziest premise yet. A woman wants to be an artist in Renaissance Italy, and she's a noble, something that's never happened before. Anyway, she leaves her mansion with nowhere to go except all the artisan schools who take on apprentices, but they take one look at her and consider it a waste of time to even have a conversation with her. As a joke, they send her to one named Leo, who doesn't take on apprentices. He gives her an impossible task in sanding down and preparing 20 boards that night, when even the other masters say they can do at most 6. She manages to do it and he takes her on. Feats of physical strength and endurance ensue as she proves herself to everyone. Add another topic of things that I never really cared about, but anime makes me interested in, with Wave Listen to Me, a show about the radio industry. When the drunken ramblings of a recently dumped waitress are aired without her non-drunken permission, she goes to the studio to stop them from playing it, and continues her rambling about nothing while apologizing to the listeners. And this show will definitely be better dubbed because she screams at 1,000,000 words per minute as other characters are talking over her. If you've watched Excel Saga, you know the problem is subtitles take up half the screen and you don't even know who's saying what except from context. Slice of Life meets the other isekai show this season with My Next Life is a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom. Long story short, the main girl trips down some stairs and dies, and is reincarnated as a child in a fantasy world. Not the most original thing in the world, fantasy or otherwise, but it's hyper self-aware, so it's a pretty great comedy. The world she reincarnated into is exactly the same as the dating sim she was playing, right down to the characters, and she's the main antagonist, who always ends up dying or exiled. With her knowledge of the setting and characters, she basically metagames her way through her childhood and tries to win everyone over, yet still triggers the events that may lead to her demise. It's kind of dumb and mindless entertainment, but it makes me laugh, and that's what matters most in the slice of life isekai world. Finally, my favorite show this season, and I have no idea why, Sing Yesterday for me. One reason I like it is it has a really strong vibe of Welcome to the NHK, one of my favorite anime of all time, but it's more grounded in reality with a hint of another one of my favorite shows, and the definite best of last year, Domestic Girlfriend. The main characters are Rikuo, who's graduated college and living in limbo, working at a convenience store with no ambition to move ahead in life. Shinako is Rikuo's college crush and a high school teacher who feels like she's bad at her job. And finally Haru, an eccentric high school girl who always has a crow sitting on her shoulder and works at a bar. She stops in at the convenience store to be mysterious and coincidentally is Shinako's student, and is one of the causes of her sense of failure. This is one of those shows that I wouldn't put in the blanket of the anime genre, that anyone between the ages of 15 and 35 can identify with. You don't need to explain to your friend why the girl running around the corner has toast in her mouth or what desu means. It's a human story about real people that makes sense most of the time. The characters are real and fleshed out, and their motivations are simple to understand yet difficult to put into words. Best of season for sure, but there's just one problem. It's based on a manga that ran for 18 years and has exactly that many episodes. Hopefully with some of the hype that I've seen from other people like me, they can make another season and an English manga translation. I'm also looking at you for a hard copy, Domestic Girlfriend. That's what I'm watching this season, or at least what I think is worth mentioning. Hopefully this trend of good 2020 shows will continue, with Reincarnated as a Slime and ReZero coming out sometime later this year. And the shows I'm looking forward to continuing the most are both isekais. Time to end this video. If you liked it, thumb it up, and if you want to see more in-depth videos, as well as next season's anime preview, subscribe, hit the bell, pull the whistle, and do whatever they have now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around.